What's going on, you guys? Welcome back to another episode of my advanced fast hand wizard finger masterclass guitar lesson series. Just kidding. This guitar lesson is all about melodies and harmonies, and if you haven't already, please go check out my previous guitar lessons videos. They all build on top of each other, so if you're a little bit lost at this point, you're going to get even more lost. This lesson is going to take everything we learned about intervals and scales and chords and kind of tie them all in together. So that's that, and also be sure to check out my channel page. It's youtube.com/redsgshredder. I have a bunch of information there that you need to read, including a disclaimer section. And last but not least, if you want to play along, I tuned down all my strings one whole step, but I'll still refer to all the notes and everything as if I was in standard tuning. So if you want to play along. Alright, so we should just talk about our definitions first. First thing is, a melody is just a voice of notes. It's just a sequence of notes. And a harmony is just multiple melodies played on top of each other. That's it. And now your harmony can have different notes, and it can sometimes have higher notes, lower notes. Sometimes you can play the same note with all their voices. Doesn't matter. It's all the same thing. It's all called harmony. It just might not sound too good. So we'll talk about the common styles and how to harmonize. The most common one is just a dual guitar harmony. You have a lower voice and a higher voice, and it's sometimes called harmonizing with thirds. Bands like Metallica and Iron Maiden use them a lot. I'll just show you a little example melody and what its harmony would be. So the key is going to be an E minor, and so if you remember, E minor is just E, F sharp, G, A, B, C, D. So here it is. I told you it would be simple. It's just E, F sharp, G. It's in the key of E minor. So now how we're going to harmonize that is we're going to harmonize with thirds. So if you remember, every note has two thirds. So the way to decide which third to play is you're going to play the third that's in the key of your lower voice. So our lower voice is E minor, so we just want to stay in that key. So for example, E has two thirds. It's got a minor third, major third. Its minor third is G, its major third is G sharp. So we're going to play G because G is in the key of E minor. It's in the E minor scale, and G sharp is not. And if you do that for the other notes, you just get G, A, B. So this would be the upper harmony. That's just G, A, B. And then when you play them together, it just sounds like this. So now if you remember, that's pretty much just making minor and major dyads out of the notes that we played from before, so that kind of ties into our chords lesson. Alright, so that's dual guitar harmony. You can also do a triple guitar harmony. Most bands don't do that just because after you get more than two guitars, it starts to sound a little muddy, and also most bands don't have three guitar players, so they can't do live, but I'll just show you that anyway. So if you remember, I just made a dyad out of my lower voice as our root note, and so what we can do is make it a triad. So if you just remember from your chords lesson, the E minor triad is E, G, B. So we'll just do this. That's the E minor triad. But then you'll run into another problem. I'll show you that right now. The next note is F sharp. Its third is A, but its fifth is C sharp. So that's a problem because C sharp isn't in the key of E minor. So it would sound like this. So it sounds a little weird. One thing you do is play a C and say, okay, let's stay in the key of E minor, and C is in the key. It'll sound like that. That doesn't sound right either because C isn't F sharp's fifth, so it doesn't sound right. So there's really no way around that if you want to keep playing an F sharp minor. But there is something you can do to kind of get around that, and what you can do is make it an inversion. So change it from an F sharp to a D, an inverted D major. So you'd play a D note instead, and it would sound like this. So then the whole thing, if you harmonize the whole thing, it would sound like this. So those chords, or those triads, are just E minor, inverted D major, and then a G major. Another thing you can do is invert that last one too to make an inverted E minor. That's in case you don't want to play that D note twice. Alright, let's do some more examples. One thing you can do is harmonize your 4th and your 5th with your 7th and your octave respectively. And that's kind of what we did earlier, but we can go into a little bit more. If that doesn't make sense, I'll just show you an example. So the example is from the Children Bodom song Dead Night Warrior, the album Something Wild. So they've got a little harmony that sounds like this. Now, on the album they don't harmonize that, but we can. And if you just go ahead and do it with thirds, it would be like this. So those two notes right here, those are, you know, sound a little strange. So what you could do instead is play the 7th and the octave instead, and it would sound like this. So when you do that, you're essentially just changing those notes into inverted power chords. Now, you don't have to do it that way. You can just do whatever sounds best to you. I'll show you an example where they don't do that. For example, the song is called Firepower, and the band is Annihilator, and the album is Waking the Fury. So they've got the song, the harmony goes like this. Now on the record, they just harmonize it normally, so here's what the harmony would sound like. Now, if you were to harmonize it the way I've been showing you with like these, the 7th and octave, it would sound like this. Alright, so that's harmonizing with thirds, and so for every note we were deciding, should we play a minor third or a major third, and then if we wanted to do the little inversion thing, we did those too. One other thing you can do is just harmonize with the same interval across the board. So let's just do minor thirds. To me it sounds really kind of evil, kind of used a lot in black metal, death metal, Cannibal Corpse used a lot, so I'll just go back to the very first example that we had. And if you were to harmonize it with all minor thirds, here's what the original one was. Here's what the harmony would be. Exact same shape. Okay, and so together it would sound like this. You can do the same thing with major thirds, so that harmony would be this. Together. It's kind of like thrash metal, like Megadeth to me. And then fifths. That's just power chords. Used a lot by like a lot of progressive bands. Death used to use a lot. R.I.P. Chuck. A lot. So you don't have to follow any of these rules. If you like the way that C sharp sounded in the E minor scale, you can go ahead and play it. There's nothing saying you can't. A lot of bands kind of do this stuff these days because they don't play songs in any one particular key. A great example is the Children Bodom song Blood Drunk, that new album Blood Drunk. So here's the main riff. Here's a lower voice. And then the upper voice sounds like this. By the way, I'm tuned down to C, drop C now. So together you get all kinds of weird stuff in there. They harmonize with thirds, fifths, flat fifths, and they invert them, and it looks kind of like this. Sorry. So you can go ahead and break all those kinds of rules if you want. Just do whatever sounds. Alright you guys, well once again, thanks for watching. If you have questions or anything, feel free to let me know, and be sure to check out my website. It's www.redishshredder.com. Got a lot of information there and tabs on all of these examples that I've shown you. So until next time, peace.